Good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. In today's video, I am doing a twin flame reading. So this is a twin flame reading and energy update for the Twin Flame Collective. If you are not a twin flame or aren't familiar with this label, that is perfectly okay as well. Although I do create these readings specifically for twin flames or divine counterparts, I really don't believe in coincidences or accidents. So if you found this video, there is most likely some message here for you. And along those same lines, be sure to use your own intuition in determining which messages are for you and which messages may be for others. I say this because I do channel many different hyper-specific messages for specific individuals who will be drawn to these videos. Take a deep grounding breath if you feel guided to do so. This really helps to just clear and ground your energy. Also, if you would like me to channel specific messages for you and your situation, be sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Also, be sure to like the video, because by liking and subscribing, you are virtually signaling to me energetically, I am present, I am here, I am ready to receive, and I'm able to pick up on that energy and therefore channel more specifically for you. So I'm going to set my own intentions for this reading aloud as I shuffle and clear out any past energies from the deck. My intention for this reading is to bring forth clear messages for specific twin flames who will be drawn to this reading. You can set your own intentions either aloud or within your own mind, or even in the comments section. Okay, so right away, the thinking woman in the upright position and the angel of love. I usually associate the thinking woman card with a divine feminine and something to do with her ego self, her more 3D kind of physical human self, which of course can sometimes get in the way of what our soul is trying to tell us. With Angel of Love, I associate this card very often with unconditional love. So when I saw these cards, I instantly saw this spectrum, this movement from the ego mind, the thinking woman, the physical 3D human perspective to this deep level understanding of unconditional love. And I keep wanting to say unconditional self-love. Can I get more clarification on this divine feminine who could potentially be a little bit triggered in her ego, or what's going on here? Strategy in the reverse position. Wow, okay, so I instantly heard letting go of a plan. This has been a major theme through my recent readings. I also heard the word control, so I could be connecting with a divine feminine here who has perhaps, I heard type A. This won't be for everyone, but there's some divine feminine here who might be more of a type A personality, someone who likes to be in control of themselves, their lives, outcomes. I see someone with like an agenda or a planner. So you might be someone that makes a lot of to-do lists or is very forward-thinking and detailed in your planning. There's something here about details. And if this message is for you, this person I'm connecting with is actually being taught to move from this mindset of needing to control not only the outcomes, but the exact path to these outcomes, releasing that need for control. And I heard allowing in a better way. It's almost as though you have to release your need for control in order to allow the most aligned path to manifest before you. And I'm seeing it's like the more you're focused on the details, on trying to control these minute details of yourself, your life, or this connection, the less you're going to be able to see this path that is opening in front of you, because it could be from a different way or in a different direction than you expect. The temple path in the reverse position. Yeah, so whenever this person gets into this kind of overly analytical or over planning mindset, it's not that they're disconnected from their divine path, because of course that would be impossible. We are always connected at some level and in some way with our soul's divine path. But I'm hearing it's like this person is almost blind to the path, if that makes sense. Like they aren't seeing the next step in front of them because they're so focused on what they want that next step to be. I know that's a bit of a roundabout way of saying it. And I also know that this is likely just for one person here. Door to Spirit reversed also came out here. So this person might be feeling, or through this logical mind, this overanalysis, this over control, they are in some sense disconnecting from their own soul's intuition. I just want to pull a few cards from other decks. So I guess I wasn't going to structure this reading in kind of the traditional way of looking into the feminine and masculine from the 3D physical perspective and the 5D perspective. I do this sometimes, but I hadn't gone into this reading with that intention, but that's where I'm feeling guided, because clearly here we're getting some 3D messages for the divine feminine. For those of you who aren't familiar with my readings, I do like to channel divine feminine and divine masculine messages from both the 3D, what I consider to be the human, more physical, more matrix-oriented perspective, as well as the 5D, the soul perspective, the kind of energy happening or shifting beneath the surface, because oftentimes these things can be very different. So the two cards to come out from the Starseed Oracle as we're speaking to this divine feminine are You're Not Alone, Isolation, Physical Connection, Community, and Portal, Doors Are Opening, You Decide, Rewards, Wild Card. I heard that there's a divine feminine who feels faced with some kind of a decision in her heart and soul. I'm not sure that this is literally a physical material decision. This could just be a decision on like whether to commit or not commit to something or someone that is taking place within her energy, within her mind. And I also heard for this person, you have a very powerful magnetic energy. So wherever you choose to commit your energy toward, you lay a very powerful path in that direction. You become very magnetic for that thing. You're a very powerful creator, because many of you listening and connecting with this are actually very ancient souls. You've been through lifetimes before, many, many lifetimes, where essentially this was like an earth school where you have learned how to become a very powerful creator, a very powerful spiritual being in your own life, and you're becoming more consciously aware of that power. However, I feel that whoever's being faced with some kind of a decision, this could be someone that just finds themselves kind of vacillating between, I know this is my twin flame, my person. If this indecision is about your twin flame, this could also be like, should I stay at this job? Should I leave? Whatever decision this person's being faced with, I feel that with this You're Not Alone card, the decision your heart and soul is pulling you toward may be very different than what others around you think you should do. Others around you, meaning those near you physically or geographically in the 3D. But you're being reminded that, in the sense, when this card says you're not alone, I'm sensing that, of course, you're never alone, even in this physical 3D world. There are always others who are rising to your level, who are thinking on your heightened level of existence that you are rising to through this spiritual awakening that you're going through. But I don't feel like right here that's specifically what this card is referring to. I actually get the sense that this card is speaking to the fact that you're very spiritually protected and guided. You have very powerful spirit guides, potentially ancestors around you, powerful divine forces that are guiding you in this direction. Doors are opening, you decide rewards. Yeah, I'm getting the sense it's like I heard there's something about this period of time, and you've probably been intuitively sensing it, that is like a kind of vortex for you, a kind of portal, a door that you can walk through. But I just heard it's like when you are taking these steps forward through this door, your ego is going to be screaming at times because you are going to feel like in this physical world at times that you are alone. But remember what we said earlier, you are always spiritually guided, protected, assisted. You aren't ever truly alone. This is just your ego feeding you an illusion based on the fears that have been programmed into it. Yeah, and the other two cards here are star bathing, light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. You might be feeling guided to incorporate crystals into your spiritual practice, or potentially even use them to make a crystal grid. That word just really stood out to me on this card. That might just be for one person. The card that also came out is trust the timing, trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. There's something here about a time limitation. This might go back to the ego trying to overplan or overanalyze. You could be someone that sets a lot of timelines or deadlines for yourself, your work, your life, and you may even be trying to apply those kinds of timelines to this twin flame connection as well. And when I say apply timelines, I mean to pre-decide that certain things should happen at certain times with your twin flame. But I feel that you're being guided to, this is what I'm hearing, you're being guided to release your ego's timeline, to rise to your soul's highest, best timeline, the divine timeline for your life. But this requires a level of trust that I feel this divine feminine isn't used to allowing herself to feel, to move into, to relax into. Why does this divine feminine have difficulty trusting the timing of her life or of this connection? What's going on here? The words Russia, use, and fence came out here in the word scramble. The word scramble is just specific words that I channel that sometimes connect with certain people in unique ways that they will feel through their own intuition. So those are definitely some messages that are always typically meant for just specific individuals. Goddess of the moon in the upright position. I hear this divine feminine saying, because just circling back here, we're talking about why this divine feminine may have difficulty fully trusting the timing of her life for this connection. And I hear her about to share something with me. And the first thing she's saying is, the first thing you need to know is I've always been highly sensitive. I've always been spiritual. I've always been intuitive. But with the attachment card coming out here, I saw this sensitivity, this spirituality within me as almost a negative thing because of potentially even these attachments I had to the validation or opinions of other people around me who didn't understand me, just like in general, but specifically didn't understand the value of my spiritual gifts and abilities. In fact, I see this divine feminine young, potentially child, teenager, young adult, crying, feeling so confused, saying, why am I so different from everyone? Why am I so sensitive to things? Why do I think and act and feel this way? Why do I feel so different from all the people around me? The thinking man in the reverse position. So because I was denying or dismissing or repressing my own gifts that I had been somehow convinced were actually a curse of some kind, I stepped into this overly masculinized state. We actually spoke on this in an earlier reading as well, so I may be connecting with some of the same individuals who connected with that reading. But I'm hearing this divine feminine say it's like, I had no choice but to step into that overly logical, overly analytical, over-planning mind. When I exert this level of control over myself and my life, the reason that I do this, or I've done this in the past or struggle with this, is because in order to survive in this physical 3D world, or the environment I was raised in, or the school I was in, the family, the college program, whatever it is, the workforce, in order to survive in these very ego-driven structures, I had no choice but to let my own ego take the lead, meanwhile repressing all of my beautiful divine feminine sensitivity, spirituality, and gifts. Wow, really powerful message here, because the next two cards to come out were walking away and appreciation. So it's like, through this walking away card, I specifically heard ego death. I feel this divine feminine just like telling me her life story here. Let me know if you're a divine feminine this is connecting with. But I hear her saying it's like, but finally the pressure grew or became so painful of trying to fit my beautiful, bright, brilliant spiritual side, my intuitive side, into this small box. I couldn't repress it anymore, and I actually had to cut off or walk away from these structures, things in my life, jobs, potentially like maybe a college program, relationships that were keeping me small or forcing me to continue repressing these gifts or feelings I was having. And I began to learn to value and appreciate myself, but I also, in some sense, feel so terrified. There's like, with this appreciation card, there's also a feeling of sadness or loss or fear that I get from this card. It's like, I'm learning to value my gifts, my spirituality, my sensitivity in a way I never had before. And yet with the community card reversed here, yeah, it's like, yes, I'm learning to value myself, but I also just feel so alone. I've always felt different, but lately I feel even more disconnected from other people than I've ever felt, which sometimes makes me question this guidance I'm getting, sometimes makes me question this path that I'm on. Let's see what this divine feminine needs to know. Going to the Starseed Oracle. Wow, guys, did I not say Earth School earlier in this reading? This is the card that came out. Earth School, life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. And I heard the divine saying here, you had to forget so that you could remember. And through this remembrance, you've received an immense amount of soul growth and expansion that you wouldn't have received without the forgetting. It was necessary for you to come into this earth and forget how powerful you are, forget how much of a gift your energetic sensitivity, your spirituality, your intuitive side was, because through the process of remembering, that is how you expand not only yourself, but how you actually evolve your own soul and participate in the evolution of collective consciousness. Also, the card Surrender came out here. This is so synchronistic because this card says, I can release my need to control. That is going to be, I feel, the biggest task for this divine feminine who's listening, learning how to fully trust, learning how to fully surrender, surrendering to the divine timing of her life. Letting go of her timelines based in ego, or the path to which she gets to what she desires. Because I'm hearing it's like, yes, you can have, be, or create anything you desire in this world. You are a very powerful manifestor, a very powerful creator, but you have to release control over the way in which it comes to you. Passion of the Wild Red Mother. This is the card that came out from the Rumi Oracle deck, and I am going to read just a little bit about this card here before we move forward. Don't ask the conscious ones about the wine. Behold the glowing effect of it in the eyes of drunks. Bring me your unreasonableness, your insanity, your love without reason, and your passion, the passion that makes you crazy, and shoos all logical restraint from your mind. Leave your ordered thoughts, sensible plans, and appropriate attire at my door. Of course you should do it this way, they say. It makes sense. But I care not for what makes sense. I care for what brings you alive. You, O blazing angel, are being invited by the wild red mother to participate in a dance of divine passion. You may be an activist, a poet, an advocate for justice, or a writer, content in your own world of dreams, or perhaps you are a healer, devoted to the liberation of the suffering of others, and hungry to commune with ancient wisdom. Whatever your nature, there is passion in your heart, a fire for something more powerful than fear that can become the fuel of your life journey. Really beautiful messages. It's hard to even know how to elaborate on anything from the 𝘮𝘰𝘷𝘪𝘯𝘨 Oracle because it's always just so beautifully and eloquently stated. But I really hope that that message reached a divine feminine who's been connecting with this. Again, this could be related specifically to surrendering to the divine timing of your twin flame path, or this could be more general in your life when it comes to purpose, passion, work, life path, whatever the case may be. But the one theme I am getting, regardless of where you are feeling this call to more deeply surrender, is that this is going to require you as the divine feminine to fully step into your divine feminine power, because you have been very energetically wounded in the sense that society has programmed you to believe that the very things about you that make you the most empowered, that give you the most sense of fulfillment and value and excitement and passion, you have been taught that these very things are actually some of your greatest weaknesses. And this has been deeply programmed into your subconscious mind, which of course we say the subconscious is a reflection of the energy field. As collective divine feminines, I am a divine feminine myself, and of course for the masculine, it's the same with having their own unique set of societal programs and collective masculine wounding. But for the feminine, we have this collective wounding as well that we unconsciously absorb from media, from the environments socially and physically around us, from social media. We can receive this programming unconsciously from so many sources. And the problem with this is, even though we are no longer consciously aware of these beliefs, we continue to store them in our energy, in our mind subconsciously, and they continue to manifest as these worried thoughts, anxiety, feelings of confusion when it comes to our life path. This can manifest in so many different ways, and this is often when we say, where is all of this coming from? I consciously feel this way, and I'm connecting with this in my heart and soul, but yet I feel so anxious or confused or lost or isolated. And the reason we have these feelings is because what we are feeling is coming from subconsciously stored negative beliefs that are disempowering us as the divine feminine that we need to release. So I've created a subliminal called the Awakened Divine Feminine. This is really powerful for clearing out these subconscious blocks, specifically blocks that prevent a divine feminine from fully stepping into her full power, purpose, and potential. As well as if you are a twin flame, this subliminal is also infused with affirmations that are designed to balance the feminine and masculine energies between you and your twin flame counterpart. Because as the feminine or the masculine, when we step into our highest power and potential, when we re-empower ourselves and release these limiting beliefs and collective programs of wounding, we then actually instantaneously shift the balance between us and our twin flame counterpart. So I will leave a link to this subliminal. Again, it's called the Awakened Divine Feminine in the pinned comment and description box. This subliminal comes from my website, soundandsoulful.com. So as you can see on the screen, on this site, I've created over 100 subliminals for all areas of life. You can try out any subliminal I've created completely free for 7 days by creating a free trial account on my website. And again, all of that information is linked in the pinned comment and description. So as I was speaking, one card just flew out here, so give me a moment. Okay, so of course this card is the contract card in the upright position. And for those of you who watch my readings frequently, I associate this card in the deck with some kind of a karmic contract or cycle. So I'm actually feeling that this is going to need its own space here. So I'm going to reshuffle the rest of the cards and see if I can channel information about this karmic cycle or contract here. By the way, a karmic contract can be represented in a person, what we call a karmic relationship. It can also be a negative thought pattern, a negative behavior pattern. It can be so many different things, so only take this as it connects with you. I will just channel whatever comes through here. So what is this karmic contract that this feminine is dealing with, or that is coming up for this feminine right now? The scales imaged on this card are really sticking out to me, which makes me think that something is balancing out through the arrival or appearance of this karmic contract or cycle. The patience card just came out. So I heard, be patient as karmic cycles come into balance. What karmic cycles are coming into balance here? What is the karmic cycle coming into balance for this divine feminine? Wow, okay, so 3 words, stay, total, and shake came out in the word scramble. That word stay, though, really stood out to me. And what I heard is there's a divine feminine. This will probably just be for a few people listening, but this divine feminine is someone who may be struggling with some kind of an abandonment wound, meaning they may have a fear of being either emotionally or physically abandoned within romantic connections specifically. And because of this, I hear this divine feminine saying, I leave before they can leave me. Now, this is something that they may be doing actually very unconsciously. Sorry, I was leaning down to pick up another card. But I'm hearing it's like this divine feminine might be someone who unconsciously sabotages relationships romantically before they have a chance to flourish, because she is afraid of being abandoned eventually. She could be someone who, like, I'm getting the energy from one specific person. Again, this won't connect with everyone, but someone here who it's like they'll tell their friends, oh no, he was great. Like, I just didn't really feel a spark with him or whatever. Could have said this in the past when they were dating. And I could be speaking about a twin flame or other kinds of connections that this divine feminine has had in the past. I feel like in the past, they always find a reason or excuse not to continue a romantic relationship, or they just suddenly ghost the person or disconnect even when things are going well, or they may allow themselves to get really anxious within the relationship even when things are going well because they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. So whatever the case is for this divine feminine, again, this will not be everyone, but for who this is connecting with, I feel that they are learning. Simply put, they're learning how to stay. They're learning how to fully commit to someone in their heart and soul. I heard even if that doesn't mean there's a label on it, because I do feel for some this is going to apply directly to a twin flame connection where there may not be a label on the connection, but this divine feminine, through these abandonment wounds surfacing through this connection, is being taught how to release her fears of not being chosen or being left. Yeah, the card wait came out here. It's not time yet. Things are being woven, which is interesting because the patience card also came out, which has the image of a clock on it. So there's something very clearly here having to do with time. The words America and drove came out. Someone could be separated by a geographical distance where one twin lives in America and one lives in a different country. With the word drove, I heard cross-country driving. So there could be someone who's been on a road trip recently. Again, these are just very specific channeled messages coming through for different people, but I want to know what is being woven here, why this Divine Feminine has to have patience. What does this Divine Feminine have to be patient about? What does this Divine Feminine need to be patient about? Hunger, the wolf moon. Interesting, I've never pulled this card before, so I'm going to read a little bit about it. This comes from the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck, by the way. Feed the good and hope within you. There will always be a lean part of the cycle. Prosperity will come. Do not let your hunger blindly dictate your actions entirely. This is interesting, and I heard like hungry for love. I feel that there could be in a divine feminine in the middle of some kind of a cycle here with the masculine. As the guidebook said, a kind of lean time, a kind of time where it feels as though things are lacking or not coming into place, specifically when it comes to a love connection. It might feel like winter symbolically to this person, like things aren't growing and you begin to question whether things are even there beneath the surface, beneath the snow. It may feel like a cold time emotionally for some Divine Feminine connecting with this, a time of hardship in some sense, a time of, when I saw the word hunger, I heard longing. So this could be a time of longing for a kind of love that you don't feel you're experiencing in the 3D right now. If you are a twin flame, you could be feeling this specifically with your person. But you're being asked to understand that love and everything in life moves in seasons. Twin flame connection has seasons within itself. And this season, you may be feeling a kind of coldness, a kind of lack, a kind of a longing, but this is only part of the cycle. And actually through this time, these karmic cycles are emerging on both the feminine and masculine side to clear the way. And then as we've spoken a lot earlier, I was laughing because the Adjacent Possibilities card came out in the reverse position. I just keep hearing like, stay, hold your ground, be patient, hold space for this connection, for this person, trust, surrender. Those are the kinds of messages that keep coming through here. Yeah, through this time, it's like these karmic cycles are being cleared away, as I was saying, for the purpose of bringing about this new beginning. This is something we haven't specifically talked about in this reading, but it's a theme that's been coming out in many of my recent readings. So in the extended version of this reading, I will be channeling more specific messages on what is going on through this cycle, other karmic contracts that could be coming up for both the feminine and the masculine through this current karmic cycle, as well as what is coming. So all of that information will be in the extended on my Patreon page, which is linked in the pinned comment and description if those messages are resonating with you. Okay, now let's turn to the Divine Masculine side of the equation. So what is the Divine Masculine thinking or feeling? And again, right now we are speaking from a physical, human, 3D perspective. So what is going on with the Divine Masculine at this time? I'm actually feeling guided to pull a card from the Moonology deck, so give me a moment to get that. What is the Divine Masculine thinking or feeling at this time? What is going on with the Divine Masculine? Prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. So I've been saying this a lot, but once again, I'm getting a lot of earth energy from a masculine. This could literally mean that they have an earth sign in their chart. This could alternatively mean that they are in this kind of slow moving or more physically oriented kind of space or energy right now. So I want to know what this prosperity represents. What kind of prosperity lies ahead for this masculine? I heard slow moving but worth it. I feel like I could be dealing with a kind of masculine here for someone specifically who moves very slowly into action, which is something I channeled in previous readings as well. And yet I heard old-fashioned. Someone's person might have kind of an old-fashioned mindset or personality when it comes to love or life or work. It's like this person, I feel like they have that mindset deep down of when something is broken, you fix it. You don't just walk away from it. Like they have that kind of old-fashioned way of thinking. This is either a core value for them that they are consciously aware of, so they might talk about feeling this way, or they could just unconsciously have this kind of value of, again, this kind of old-fashioned view of love that at times could mean they move more slowly in the physical world when it comes to love and romance, but they also, it's like they really value, I heard inner circle, this person might have a small inner circle, really valuing the few that they fully let into their life, really valuing the romantic relationships that they truly connect with in their heart and soul, and yet sometimes moving slowly. Again, this won't be for everyone listening. This is just someone's masculine specifically that I'm picking up on, and it's also kind of hard to fully find the words to describe some of these energy dynamics. But yeah, adjacent possibilities in the reverse came out here. So there's some message here of like, strong but stubborn at times. And stubborn isn't always, I don't mean that in like a negative connotation. I just mean someone who, when they decide, when they know, at least again on a soul level, on an unconscious level, regardless of how they are expressing this or how this is playing out physically within the connection. With adjacent possibilities reversed, I hear it's like, there really is no other option but you. I once again heard the term soul monogamy, which is a term I first channeled in one of my previous, most recent readings, where I was speaking on how twin flames have this kind of soul monogamy where they are exclusively fixated on each other on a soul level, on an energetic level, regardless of who they may be connecting with romantically in the 3D. What else is this divine masculine thinking in the physical? From a physical perspective, I'm going to pull from some of the other decks here to get a full spread and a better, clearer picture of what's going on. So what is going on with this masculine right now? Hunter Moon, abundance. This comes from the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. So I am going to read a little bit about this card. Take advantage of this time of abundance. It is all around you. Possibility and opportunity are everywhere. You are open and responsive to the abundance around you. There is enough for everyone. This is really interesting. It's almost like the opposite. Hold on, I see a line from here that's really standing out to me. These cycles are there even if we are not part of them consciously. So I feel like there's something about this masculine energetically on a soul level, completing some kind of a cycle. There's almost like the fruition of a cycle, the fulfillment of a cycle here, which is interesting because for the divine feminine, we talked about it feeling like winter, it feeling like there was a kind of coldness, or they were in the lean part of a cycle, the barren part of a cycle. But for this masculine with the prosperity card and the abundance card, it's more so signifying the completion of a cycle. And so I feel like there's a strong contrast here between what's actually going on and how this feminine is perceiving it or feeling it through her emotions. So I feel like it's almost like the cards are saying here that the masculine is actually completing some kind of a cycle. It's almost like this kind of celebratory feeling energetically of like a breath of fresh air, this masculine finally coming into this deeper level of spiritual awakening, completing some kind of a past cycle. being ready, being very single-minded on the divine feminine, feeling a kind of soul monogamy within this connection, realizing there's no other option but this feminine. But then because we spoke to the divine feminine 3D perspective and she seemed to be perceiving it very opposite, I feel as though this could be that intuition block for the feminine we were speaking on earlier with the door to spirit reversed. It's almost like her ego, that thinking woman card, that ego self for the divine feminine that likes to control, was blinding her to this truth that actually this is a beautiful time of completion, of fruition for the masculine. This cycle is actually being completed. The way is actually being prepared, but it really requires the feminine to release those fears coming up from her ego, to fully surrender to this divine timing and to trust. I heard to trust what her soul knows, sometimes above what even she is feeling through her emotions, because, and this is kind of a complicated thing, because I always say to listen to your intuition, always. But sometimes what gets to be confusing is we can have emotions come up that appear to be negative, feelings of fear, feelings of doubt, feelings of uncertainty, anxiety, that are not necessarily indicators of our soul's intuition. These can actually sometimes be manifestations of negative limiting beliefs or energy wounds or blocks within ourselves, which again is why I speak so frequently on the importance of daily energy clearing rituals and exercises, deeply reprogramming your subconscious, which is reflected in the energy field on a daily basis. This is also why I personally meditate to a 7-chakra clearing supplemental I've created every single morning. I started meditating with this specific subliminal in the fall in November, and I found that since using it on a daily basis, every area of my life has rapidly and positively transformed. It's like I felt as though I used the law of attraction for years with no results, and then suddenly after incorporating subliminals, I began taking quantum leaps towards my goals in career, in my work, in my life purpose, in my twin flame connection. So I do have this exact subliminal I use every day available to members on my website, Sound and Soulful. So the link to this general 7-chakra clearing is in the pinned comment and description, as well as a twin flame 7-chakra clearing that is designed specifically for the twin flame connection. I tend to use these interchangeably just depending on the day, because I do feel it's like there is this element of illusion here for the divine feminine that she needs to be aware of. It's like her emotions coming up at times could be negative, but what her soul's intuition could be speaking is very different, in the way she needs to cut through the noise and get to that still, quiet space within, that space through which the intuition can clearly speak to her, is by really allowing herself to disconnect from the opinions of other people, even from her own kind of monkey mind, the mind that is constantly replaying past scenarios, imagining future scenarios. It's like she needs to release those kinds of outer level, consciously kind of sometimes chaotic thoughts and swirling, absorbed opinions and energies from others, from the world around her. All of that needs to be quieted in those moments of meditation, grounding exercises, rituals, whatever she uses to silence those external voices and influences is really essential right now, so she can get through to the truth of, what am I feeling about this person and this connection in my heart and soul? Regardless of the 3D physical circumstances, regardless of these negative emotions that come up when I feel triggered or begin to become afraid, regardless of what anyone else thinks of this connection or how they are perceiving it, what do I feel and know within? Again, in that still, quiet space within. I know I've spoken a lot on this, but this is just so essential for this divine feminine right now. What else is going on with this masculine at the 3D level? What is this masculine thinking, feeling, or experiencing? self-esteem, forgiveness, and patience. So the self-esteem card says, I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. I feel this strongly speaks to the spiritual awakening that is continuing to intensify and culminate within the collective masculine. And forgiveness. I feel this specifically. I just get this image of like, for someone, and again, not everyone who is a twin flame necessarily has inner child wounds in the sense that they have something that their parents did or said that has, affected them negatively energetically. I don't like to place blame on these family dynamics or say everyone has this, but when I speak of an inner child wound, I'm using it much more broadly as any kind of formative experience with something that could have been negative and then unconsciously began to influence how that person behaved, self-sabotaged, moved forward, remained stagnant, etc. within similar situations in the future. This could be in regards to how they perceive themselves, how they perceive relationships, how they perceive work, money, other people, life purpose, whatever the case is. And I would say that in that definition, under that definition of an inner child wound more broadly, that we all experience these because we live in a broken world. We all absorb negative programming from society, from our environments throughout life that sometimes unconsciously influence us away from what our soul knows to be true, because so much of life, the beauty of life, the learning of life is remembering who we truly are and what we truly know, and we can only remember by forgetting. It's why we choose to experience this soul amnesia here on this planet in this lifetime, so that we have the opportunity to remember. But there's something for this masculine, just circling back with, again, inner child wound that could be very broad, could be some experience in young adulthood, or could be applied in the traditional sense with some kind of childhood experience. But I feel like there was something that I heard like took him down a peg or hurt his self-esteem in some way, hurt his confidence in some way. Something happened in his life that hurt his confidence that he is letting go. This could be a dynamic with a parent. This could be an early romantic relationship that was negatively affecting him in some way. This could be being told by society even that the gifts and talents he had to bring to the world weren't truly valuable. I'm seeing someone who's working like a corporate job that he just hates, and now having this spiritual awakening and realizing like, wait a second, I came here to do something greater. And that won't be for everyone, probably just one person. I sometimes get these kind of random images and channeled feelings from very specific individuals who come through strongly at certain points in the reading. But I do feel it's like there's this continual process of forgiveness in the sense of releasing the negative thoughts and feelings that could have been projected from other people who were acting from their own space of wounding. But regardless of where they came from, there's like a releasing of these negative blocks within him as his spiritual awakening continues. And in the extended version of this reading, I will be getting into more specifics as to what these blocks could be for this divine masculine, what he could be specifically forgiving or releasing at this time. But the card Patience came out here in a completely different deck, which is really interesting because this card has come out twice now. The woman in this image is holding a red balloon, and for some reason that word hold really stood out to me. It's like something about holding the space, holding your ground as the divine feminine, holding space for the masculine to continue this process of healing. And of course, when I say hold the space, I know that brings a lot of connotation for people. This doesn't necessarily mean, remaining in a physical 3D relationship with them, unless that's what you're feeling guided to do. This will be very unique depending on you and your situation. This could simply be releasing control, the need to control, letting go, surrendering in the sense that I am going to allow this spiritual awakening process to continue taking place within the masculine while I, as the divine feminine, continue stepping into my own power and purpose and passion in this life. And I'm going to release the the outcomes here and the timing here. It could be as simple and as generally applied as that. Holding the space and whatever that means for you and your circumstances with your twin. Big picture thinking, visionary, inspired ideas. I'm hearing that there are many twin flames listening who will or do already have in mind some kind of overarching purpose in this physical lifetime with their twin. This could be something that you do together, like a project, a business, something you create together. This could also simply be something that you individually are capable of creating because of the ways in which this twin flame path touched your soul, influenced you, activated you, or continued to kind of energetically activate you to this higher level of spiritual understanding, this deeper level of surrender. And finally, from the 𝘮𝘰𝘷𝘪𝘯𝘨 Oracle, the all-encompassing hands. And I'm going to read a message from this card, and then we'll most likely close out the reading. You are the essence of my existence. Who am I? A mirror in your hands. This poem is not over, but I've never read this before. And isn't it so interesting that it uses the word mirror, because we always say that twin flames are perfect mirrors. Whatever you do, I will do. I am your irresistible reflection. With every breath, I feel my heart is beating with yours. In your joy, I am exuberant. In your sadness, I am in sorrow. If you are bitter, I become bitter. If you are grace, I become grace. My joy is when I am bewildered in your beauty and taste the sweetness of love on your lips. If I pick a rose without you, it becomes a thorn in my hands. If I am the thorn, I become the rose in your hand. Wow. So beautiful, and such a beautiful depiction or metaphor for the twin flame connection. This card also says, I have held your hand in mine for so long that I have long since ceased to distinguish where your sacred flesh once felt separate from mine. This sacred grasp pulses with love divine, and there is one hand holding and held, one being loving and loved. Though we may appear by less ecstatic angels to be two, the love that gives us this handfast beloved is so powerful that we could spin the entire universe upon its axis, and still our hands would be joined, gently and yet enduringly, in unfailing love and sublime friendship. Wow, beautiful, beautiful messages. Thank you so much to each of you who are here, literally co-creating all of these readings, all of these podcast episodes with me. If these messages were resonating with you, in the extended, I will be answering the questions we posed during the reading, as well as channeling higher self-love messages from both the divine feminine and the divine masculine side. So the link to the extended is in the pinned comment and description, as well as all of the subliminals I recommended during the reading, which were the awakened divine feminine. I will also include the awakened divine masculine for those of you who are awakened divine masculines listening to this reading, the 7 chakra clearing, and the twin flame 7 chakra clearing. All of those are linked in the pinned comment and description as well. And again, you can try out any subliminal I've created completely free for 7 days by creating a free trial account on my website. I am now posting twin flame reading videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to join us back here at those times if you can. On Tuesdays and Thursdays at the same time, I will be posting twin flame podcast episodes or informational videos for twin flames as well. You can also follow me on Instagram at Magnetize Yourself, where I post twin flame content and energy updates. Have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you again in Friday's reading.